Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. Poland's internal security agency has arrested a 19-year-old university student suspected of planning a bomb attack on a Christmas market, allegedly in support of the Islamic State, marking another case of a plot detected before it could be carried out. Now, authorities say the suspect had been gathering information on explosives and was in contact with extremist networks abroad. Security services across Europe remain on high alert during the holiday season. Now, to discuss how such attacks are prevented, how radicalization occurs, and what the Islamic State looks like today, we're joined by Paulina Piasecka, Director of the Terrorism Research Center at Collegium Civitas. Good to have you back on TVP World.
Good to be back. Thank you.
Let's begin with this particular profile. I mean, we have this case of this student based on this in Lublin. How typical today is such a case? Young, locally born student, no prior criminal connections, but online contact with extremist groups. How common is that?
Well, I don't think there are any real common profiles of potentially radicalized and prone to use of the extremist violence people. Unfortunately, the radicalization is somewhat universal and it occurs with an individual if the certain set of conditions is met. So certain triggers are triggered on the individual, social and political / global level. But you are right in asking this question, especially about a person with no prior ties and completely different cultural and religious background. It seems like this is the case of conversion at the very young age and counter the way in which this person was brought up and educated, which is really fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Also, you mentioned these three conditions, I believe social, political, and global. I mean, do you have any way of, let's say, which one is more likely? How do we counter it? What are some, let's say, early warning signs that authorities and general community can take to stop something like this?
Okay, so we're talking about sort of three layers of factors that might, if put together, make somebody radicalized. The first layer is the layer of individual personal traits. Somebody might be more prone to violence or more prone to internal frustration due to either real or relative deprivation. Somebody might be feeling personally harmed or frustrated because of the lack of access to the sources or assets that he thinks he deserves. Now, the second layer is the layer of social surroundings, social group. So I'm acting, say, on behalf of the marginalized or ostracized group. I'm fighting for rights of my brothers and sisters who are undergoing some sort of either harsh or unfair treatment. And the third layer, the political / global layer, this is the layer of political ideologies, of the big words and justifications and narratives that make it appear that violence is in fact justified. It's not only justified, it's even needed, it's demanded from this fighter because the cause he's fighting for is so important that it deserves using violence. Now, when it comes to preventing those processes, I think the most important tool that we have is the close and careful situational awareness of us as individuals, because those first signs, changes in behavior, changes of behavioral patterns, changes of language, changes of, say, diet and chosen ways of spending free time, this will not be visible to any sort of services. They will be visible, however, to friends and family. The services will be looking for a completely different set of signs, like, for example, somebody trying to contact a terrorist organization or actively looking for ways to make a bomb.
Mm-hmm. And also, I mean, the online element is also here. I mean, he allegedly has done this with supporter. There was contact between him and some representatives of ISIS. I mean, ISIS itself no longer controls any territory as it once did some years ago. It's a different organization. So what does that tell us about where we are in 2025, now almost 2026, with ISIS? How does the online factor play a role here, and what kind of steps can be taken to defend against it?
Hey, so the fact that ISIS ever controlled any sort of territory, any part of any territory, is surprising in itself. Most of terrorist groups and terrorist movements have never ever gotten to the point of controlling any territory. And one of the most fearsome organizations that we've ever been fighting against was Al-Qaeda, which did not control territory. Now, that does not lower the risks of attacks from terrorist organization. The fact whether or not they, this factor whether or not they control the territory, the movements, the networks, the quite often independently operating cells, they don't have to have territory. They have to have leaders, they have to have money, and they have to have some sort of social support in order to be able to move around, seek safe haven, and seek to organize attacks. We will, I'm sorry to say that, but we will never ever be at the point in which we will be able to say, well, completely free from terrorism. This is simply impossible because the probability of the politically fueled violence will live as long as there will be people who will believe that there are important causes worth fighting for, worth even killing for, worth even killing the innocents for. All that is unfortunately multiplied or at least worsened by the fact that terrorism is the asymmetric form of attack that may be effectively utilized, for example, within the framework of hybrid warfare, which means that even if there were no self-born and self-radicalized terrorists, there still will be, for example, states who will be using the remnants of terrorist groups or movements as the tool of proxy war.
Mm-hmm. I'm also curious because you mentioned, that we'll never be rid of terrorism, unfortunately, in our world. I mean, this is still a reality, and we have to be vigilant. But if we look at, I'm just curious if we just scale out a little bit, the terrible attack that we saw in Australia just in these last days, the foiled attack in southern Germany. There's also apparently authorities captured their people that were planning an attack. This one was foiled as well. Is there some kind of link here? Is this just chance they happened roughly around the same time? Do you see in any way coordination? Is there a pattern to this?
I don't think there's coordination. I do think there might be a pattern. When you look at serial killers, you quite often hear the phrase copycat killer. Now, this happens when somebody is following in the footsteps of somebody else much more famous. Terrorists live and die by their information. I want to say media exposure, but right now I'm on the media, so I wouldn't be a very nice guest if I said media exposure. But this is it. If an attack happens, if there is a time when the media exposure would be greater, when the influence, the psychological effects would be greater, we might be looking for rising probability. So not only the situation in which, some attack happened, everybody started talking again about terrorism. It pays off to organize an attack right now because everybody is focused on the conversation about terrorism. But also, it's Christmas time. It's symbolic, and terrorists attack not only the hard targets, the targets that are elements of critical infrastructure, and probably quite more often, the symbolic targets that bring death and suffering and strike at the heart of the hated culture or the hated civilizational circle. And Christmas is just it. Mm-hmm. It's the celebration of joy within the religious context.
Right. I mean, you could say that there are always these high points, and now we're in this holiday season. The authorities are stressing that we have to be calm, vigilant, no matter if you're in Poland or elsewhere around the world. But what is your advice? What should the public look for? How do people stay vigilant? What should they not be doing at this point or generally, especially now during the holidays? Just briefly.
Okay. So look for information mainly on governmental sites, the guides and information on the sets of potentially triggering important behaviors. Somebody taking photos, somebody seemingly attempting to recognize the protection patterns. But mainly, and that's the most important thing, stay aware. Stay aware of where you are, what's happening around you, whether or not there is something that your gut tells you is just something wrong, because your brain quite often processes information much quicker than your awareness is able to transfer the outcomes of this analysis to you. So stay aware, look around yourself, look for the signs of abnormal or unexpected behavior, and let somebody know, inform somebody if you see something bad happening.
All right, so gut instinct, staying aware, being vigilant during this holiday time, but I think always that's a good measure. Look, thank you so much, Paulina Piasecka. Really appreciate your insights, as always.
Thank you so very much.
And thank you for watching us here on TVP World, but stay tuned, there's much more, so don't go away.